What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Twigs Change Project video. As you can see, I've actually improved my setup and gotten like a real camera. So to celebrate that, I thought that I would make you guys just a casual little tier list video because the internet loves tier lists. It was kind of hard to figure out what kind of tier list I would do. I debated doing one on pride flags, but I thought that I would start off with mental health tips. So we're going to go on Tier Maker real quick. I'll make my face cam a little smaller so that you can actually see what's going on. Essentially, these things are representations of the different mental health tips that you will see on the internet in little like snappy 5-minute videos, and I'm going to make a slightly longer video explaining all of them very briefly on how good of advice they actually are. And while I am not a licensed therapist, I am a psychology student and I do my research. So you can trust my opinions for the most part, but if you want to go confirm, I'll leave some of my sources in the description below. Starting off with alcohol, and I'm going to rank this as just the practice of drinking alcohol, not assuming that you're an alcoholic, and I am going to put this in bad idea, and here's why. The thing with alcohol is in small amounts, it's probably not like the worst thing ever, but still, it is something that must be like processed by your liver, which is a good sign that it's probably a toxin. In fact, you can die from too much blood alcohol content, and research has confirmed that alcohol is a poison. It's just that poisons in non-lethal doses are not lethal. It'll still like fuck up your judgment and stuff. So I would say in a lot of ways it could be a good escape for whatever problems you're trying to do, but in general, drinking alcohol, especially a lot to the point where like you black out, is very counterproductive to your mental health. Next up, we have friendships. And for friendships, I'm going to put this at the top. And the reason why, I don't know if you've seen that like pyramid of needs or whatever, I forgot what it was called. But at the bottom is stuff like physiological needs, such as like food, water, shelter, stuff like that. But one of the things at the very bottom of that tier is having people around. Not necessarily having friends, but having people close by keeps you from going insane. So unless you want to go insane, I would suggest hanging out with some friends. That's one of the easiest ways to fulfill that need if you are an adult and you don't just like live at home. I know a lot of you do if you're watching this video probably, but I'm going to have the benefit of the doubt and assume that you live somewhere else, or if you are living at home that you have a plan, and just say that, hey, even if you are, you're fulfilling this need, so bravo to you. Hydration. So this is like the friendship one, but even more imperative. Like, if you don't hydrate, bad things are just going to happen, and you can't really stop it. And for the same reason, I'm putting getting adequate sleep into it as well. I know I might be crowding S tier, or like specific S tier, but these three things are some of the most important advice on here. Because with sleep in particular, if you do not sleep or you don't get enough sleep, there are measurable declines the next day in cognitive function, which will impede your ability to work. If you don't sleep at all, like weird shit is gonna happen where like your brain will produce a bunch of dopamine and you're gonna feel like really, really positive and energetic for like 8 hours and then just feel like shit for the rest of the time until you don't sleep. So sleep. I don't want to have to tell you to get enough sleep. How much you need varies, but I will say that adolescents do not get enough sleep on the whole. Adults, you'll often hear, will need 8 hours of sleep. But adolescents sometimes will need as much sleep as toddlers. And toddlers need around like 12 hours of sleep. So if you aren't getting your sleep, and I would recommend at least 10 for every adolescent. Not all studies say that you need 12 hours of sleep as an adolescent, and I recognize that might not be possible for a lot of people. But if you don't get your sleep and you're an adolescent, like you're my age, that is bad. And it will cause your cognitive function to decline. Like I said, you'll perform worse on tests. You won't be able to study as hard. You won't be able to concentrate as much, and you won't be able to remember stuff as easily. Just get your sleep. I don't really want to have to explain this one further. This one, it looks like it's eating healthy. I'm going to put this in good idea because this tip isn't just eat. This tip is specifically about consuming foods that aid in cognitive function, such as fish with fatty acids and low inflam and also anti-inflammatory foods like yogurt. That kind of thing does aid in your cognitive function, but it isn't necessarily essential for every person in order to have optimal cognitive function. There are ways that you can improve your mental health that don't involve having the healthiest diet, because I recognize a lot of you can't afford to have foods like these. Sometimes you have to subsist on like rice and beans, and that's fine. However, avoiding unhealthy foods, I think also is, I'm gonna put them right next to each other. And the reason why is because a lot of the stuff you can do with like eating specific foods that aid in your mental health and in your physical health because they are inevitably linked. If you just like avoid unhealthy foods, chances are you're going to eat a lot of the foods that are going to help you in minor ways anyway. And often foods with high sugar and fat content can cause gut inflammation, which negatively affects your brain because your organ microbiomes are important, especially your gut microbiome, otherwise known as the Sea of Qi.
Then down into your stomach. The stomach is the source of energy in your body. It is called the Sea of Qi. Only in my case, it is more like a vast ocean.
For me, it's only a sea, though. It's not a vast ocean. I wish. And speaking of Iroh, where is it? Here it is, T. I'm gonna put this in good idea. And the reason why is because drinking tea can release hormones that promote relaxation and focus. Drinking tea before you take a test or study means you'll be more productive. Drinking tea before you meditate means that you'll gain more benefits from that meditation because it just enhances a lot of your mental functions that are already there. There's a reason that Uncle Iroh has both great tea and great advice.
The key to both is proper aging.
The sun. So if you were to go on the sun, You would not. No, I'm just kidding. I would probably say it's an S tier one. Humans are meant to go outside, no surprises there. I don't know. A lot of the stuff about the sun is like not only does it give you vitamin D when you are outside, if you're not going outside, chances are you're not doing a lot of these other things, and that's bad. Like you're not exercising, you're not talking to people, and you're probably not eating healthy either. So I would say that not going outside is just indicative of a lot of other bad lifestyle choices, not necessarily indicative of it not only not exactly it itself is a problem, if that makes any sense. This next one I'm gonna say is hobbies, and I'm gonna rank it in minor benefits, and here's why. The thing with having hobbies, it's great, but there are some things that you might consider a hobby that might be harmful to you. Like some people might consider drinking a hobby, or like I don't know, smoking. Like I don't know, or doing certain drugs. No, we're not actually ranking drugs on this list. However, I will say that most hobbies are overwhelmingly positive because not only can doing stuff like reading enhance your memory and cognitive function, you also will be able to likely join social groups based on your hobby. Like, for example, if you like to read, you can go to a book club. If you like to bike, there's probably some kind of like mountain biking group you can join. There's a lot of different things you can do with your hobbies. Me personally, I play basketball. I play video games like Pokemon, and for basketball specifically, it means that I can play pickup with people, and that means I can talk. I can gain social interaction while doing something I enjoy, and that is one of the best things possible for your mental health because it's fun, and having fun is important. Next up, I'm gonna rank this as vitamins. I would say that vitamins definitely have some minor benefits. The thing is though, if you take vitamins, like I would consider moving this down to neutral because if you take vitamins, sometimes like it means you might need them. But sometimes it means that you're not eating healthy and you're overcompensating through unnatural means what you could get naturally. And for that reason, I think that it's a little shaky in terms of how good it is next to all this stuff, but it's still definitely a good idea if you have to take vitamins to take them. And if you're taking vitamins like the guy in The Chocolate Touch, maybe you should stop eating chocolate. And anyone read The Chocolate Touch, by the way? It's actually it's a good book. Definitely. If you guys like to read, I would recommend it. I'm gonna rank this one as work. And the mental health benefits of work are that you get paid. And getting paid is good. Meditation, I'm gonna put in good idea. Meditation, I'm going to put in good idea. A lot of like Eastern like yoga gurus will tell you to meditate, and they're absolutely right that you should. And the reason why meditation is good is because similar to sleep, it can induce a state of relaxation and reflection that is not really possible when you're just like conscious normally. There's a lot of like higher states of consciousness that you can achieve when you meditate. I'm not good at it, so I can't do that. But if you guys meditate, good for you. You probably have stronger mental health than even I do, and that's awesome for you. I'm still working on it though. Taking your meds as your internet unlicensed therapist. I'm just kidding. I would never claim such a title. I, w- I would never tell you not to take your prescribed medications from your doctor, but it probably isn't as essential as all of these things. Because these things help you like actually survive, and for some people, meds do help you actually survive. Like if you take antidepressants, but it's not necessarily quite as essential as like drinking water or making money. Okay, I'm gonna rank this one to I'm gonna rank this one as art and music together. Just like creative expression. There are definitely some benefits to being a good artist or being able to play an instrument. It suggests a high level of intelligence and or creativity. It's a good way to express your feelings without actually talking them out. And overall, I think it's cool. The thing is, I don't know if it's like quite as effective as something like therapy is, which we'll get to, or meditation, or eating healthy. Because like art isn't for everyone. That's why I think if you enjoy art, it's like here. But if you don't enjoy art, it's like here. So I'll just do a middle ground and put it at the top of minor benefits, mostly because hobbies and vitamins are getting lonely. Not watching adult content. So I like to think of adult content as sort of like the reverse effects of tea. You get more tired, you're less energetic, less focused, less alert, and less self-aware. And if it's the inverse of tea, it's obviously bad. However, because this is no adult content, and because I'm actually tricking you, I'm gonna put it right next to tea. Because the benefits of drinking tea are actually very similar to the benefits of not watching porn. It also can harm your relationships, obviously, but in a lot of ways, I think it's easier to be able to quit something like that if you can quit it just for yourself and you don't have to rely on another person to help be your motivation to do it for you. Not eating sugar, and I'm gonna assume this is like sucrose, not glucose, because obviously whoever made this list would know. And I'm gonna say that there are definitely physical health benefits to not consuming any sugar at all. There's a reason that evolutionarily we crave stuff like sugar. So until actual concrete research that comes out about sugar being bad for your mental health, like, and this isn't like excessive consumption of sugar. We know that's bad. That's literally just with unhealthy foods. But sugar in moderation is overall fine. Now, sex, which I'm assuming this is what it is, I'm going to rank with physical touch and sleep. I can do it with one caveat. Asexual people, gray sexual people, probably bad idea. I recognize that a lot of the language about sex is directed towards allosexual people. If you don't know what that is, it actually encompasses most of like the LGBTQ plus community except for the A and parts of the plus. That one of the reasons that LGBTQ was expanded was to include intersex and asexual people, and I believe this was around like 2012 when the label was changed. And the thing is, if you are an asexual person and you have sex, there's a chance that it's because you were forced to do it, and non-consensual sex is very, very bad for your mental health. Now that I think about it, I think I might have to move it down. And I guess the reason I'm moving it down is because not all sex is consensual. Obviously, humans are meant to procreate, but if it is done against our will, especially for women, this can have lifelong traumatic effects. So because of that, I'm gonna put it in good idea. Though if this was only consensual sex, I would move it up. Shopping. So shopping is the inverse of making money, but I'm not telling you not to buy stuff. So I'm just gonna say going on a shopping spree, it can be fun, but it's just like there's not really any measurable benefits, you know. And here we get to our first actually bad idea, which is using social media apps. Are using social media apps good or bad? I would argue that overall, the effect of social media on society has been negative. And the reason why is because it has been linked to negative associations about body image, especially in women, specifically with like Instagram and TikTok. It's been it's like a waste of time in a lot of ways. You could be doing a lot more useful things. Social media is one of those things that gives you like a big dopamine hit and then falls off. And a common theme of addictions is exactly that. It hijacks your dopamine receptors so that all other forms of dopamine that are healthy are less effective, so that you crave that thing more. And I would argue that social media is designed to be addictive so that it's profitable. And the people who reap off of those profits are billionaires who are white men. And if there's a group of people that we don't want to uplift anymore, it is billionaires who are white men. Now we're going to take a quick break so that I can tell you guys about the sponsor of this video. No one. Because I'm poor. I'm just kidding. But obviously, the sponsor of this video is actually me, because I want you to subscribe to my channel so that I can do this more full time and pay for college that way. That would be much appreciated. Moving on though, let's talk about smile. So smiling, I would say, if you do just like have a lot of like fake smiles, if you tend to mask pain, then it's bad. But if you just like smile at people to be nice, then that's usually a good idea. I'll put it in neutral. There's like a lot of situations in which smiling will actually just like induce serotonin, which is good. But also, if you smile to cover up bad things, that could also be bad. So, you know what? I didn't want to do this, but I'm changing the neutral tier to include an it depends. Because for smiling, it really depends. And I guess you could argue that for all of them, actually. Therapy. So as your unlicensed internet therapist, I'm going to put therapy up here and tell you to pay me $100 per session. In all seriousness, it actually is in... okay, I was going to put it here. And the reason why I was gonna put it at like the bottom of Do It is because talking out your feelings is very effective and not enough people do it. But I think I'm gonna rank it here because it's not for everyone. I think that there are certain situations in which going to therapy is helpful And then there's certain situations in which doing something about your problems is helpful. Going to therapy can help figure out what you need to do. It can help you work through a traumatic event. Therapy is such a useful tool, but you have to know how to use it correctly, and there are ways in which staying with a therapist can sort of be counterproductive. The therapist might be a good therapist and tell you that you might not need to see them anymore because you're ready to fix things on your own, but also the therapist might be bad and continue to see you because they want your money. So that's why I have to put it in top of good idea, but I might move it up. We'll see. Next up, we got exercise. And I'm going to rank this right next to going outside. And the reason why is because when I talked about going outside, I was saying if you're not doing stuff like exercising or talking to people, and I was foreshadowing that exercise has so many different measurable benefits to it. After you finish a workout, you get an incredible dopamine hit that is sustainable and healthy. You don't get it by just doing a drug. It doesn't decrease in effectiveness. The reason why exercise is good is because it fulfills natural functions that the body wants you to do in staying active. So the body is rewarding you for doing something good. But a lot of the large dopamine hit things that are bad, like alcohol or porn, what they do is they make the brain think that you're doing something good when you aren't. But since exercising is actually good, it goes up here. Okay, I assume this one is also just art, so I'm gonna put it right next to music. Like I said, I did not make this tier list, so I would not know. But gardening is pretty similar to going outside. I think I'm gonna rank it with tea, because being in nature, working with plants has proven to boost serotonin levels. And like I said, gardening is a great way to be in nature and to nurture something that you create. And also, the other benefit of gardening is that if you garden with edible plants, that means you're probably eating healthy, and that's great. Love that for you. Personally, I am way too impatient to actually have a garden and take care of plants, but if you are, that's cool. Journaling. So in my mind, journaling is kind of like a less effective version of therapy, because you are putting down your thoughts, but you're not necessarily telling anyone. Your thoughts are still your own. You don't have them off your chest, but you can make sense of them. And for that reason, I'm gonna put it in minor benefits. It has a lot of the same benefits associated with therapy. It can help you work through your traumas or complicated events in your life, but it doesn't necessarily solve all of your problems in the same way that therapy can sometimes. Now this one is actually a really underrated one, organizing your room. This one, I think I'm gonna put it in bottom of good idea. Having an organized room is kind of like having an organized life. Because if your room is messy and unorganized, it probably means that you're stressed out, that you don't have a lot of time to do what you need to do. But if your room is organized, that probably means you do have some extra time, and you probably have your life put together. Just like you have your room put together. My room is like a little bit messy right now, but I would say it's at least not bad. Pets. Give me a second. Hey, Twigs Change Project, say hi to Steve. Oh, everyone loves Steve. Alright, Steve. This is... I don't know if you can see him or not right now, but yeah, he's on my lap exploring my room. I thought I would show you guys how much of a baby my kitty is, Steve. I also have another one named Luna, who I can't find right now, but they are adorbs. I love them. And because I love them, they're going at the top. No, I'm only slightly kidding. I'm like, my actual ranking of them is going to be in good idea next to T, because because having pets have proven to reduce stress, and cuddling a pet can produce serotonin, which is very similar to the benefits of physical touch. The only reason I'm not putting it higher is because it's not with a human. And being in a relationship. Ooh. I don't know. Because like a good relationship is like here, and a bad relationship is like off of the tier list. I think this is the ultimate it depends, actually. This one is literally like entirely depends on the circumstances. It's like, if you were to argue for it to being higher or lower, it would be entirely based on if you think that having a good relationship, like the benefits of having a good relationship outweigh the negatives of having a bad one. And I just don't really think that either side is a clear winner, and because of that, I think we have our most controversial placement on this list. And you know what? I think we did ourselves a pretty good job ranking every single mental health tip on YouTube. Let me know if I missed any, or what you guys would rank these mental health tips, but until then, I'll see you in the next video. Bye!